Welcome to Adjunctitis, from surviving to thriving, teaching hacks to reduce stress, save time, and avoid common pitfalls. I'm April Brown, an assistant professor at Cal State LA. Once again, in this episode, I have a little help from a friend, Angele Anderfuren from the University of Michigan. She was one of the people I met when I started teaching full-time and was kind enough to help me through some of the tough spots. So, welcome to episode 15, Changes. I cannot do a David Bowie impression. Could also call this episode Planning for the Next Semester When You're Not Done with This One. First, the story. I recently taught my first documentary field production class and decided to do it not long before the semester began. I created a syllabus and some activities, but it was a week-by-week planning process. When I have a new course, there are a couple of things I am now prepared to do every time. First, I'm experimenting. I'm trying new things and new assignments, and I know I'm going to make changes. I have a document where I note what needs to be changed for the next time I teach the class, and I go into old assignments and make notes of the changes I want to make on those so I don't forget to do it when I copy them over. The second thing I do is with a new class, and please don't tell the students this, I'm a little bit more generous when it comes to grading. And that's because when I do something for the first time, it all makes sense in my head, but I may not have explained everything really well when it comes to the assignments, details, or even expectations. And the reality is, if you want to do well by your students, you'll make adjustments every semester based on how your classes go. Sometimes I'll add explanations to assignments when students got confused. Sometimes adding exercises or better explaining specific steps if I can tell they're having a hard time mastering a concept or a particular activity. And that's the theme of this part of my conversation with the University of Michigan's Angele Anderfuren. And like I said earlier, in the words of the late, great David Bowie, changes.
Every semester is a revision. I never have a completed syllabus because I always am like, oh, next semester, I'm going to do this. And I keep a notebook like through the semester of like, oh, this went really good. Oh, change this. And I keep it on I print out a copy of my schedule and I write notes on there that I look at when I'm planning the next semester. So I'm always looking, always revising, always considering like, oh, this was really good. I'll put positive notes to myself as well as negative notes to myself. And then I like to ask my students too. I do a midpoint and a final anonymous survey online to get feedback, but I also ask in each particular, at least major thing. So every time that there's like a multi-step process, the last process for me is getting students feedback, reflection. So not only to reflect on how they felt they did on it, what they could do better, but also, is there anything that you think could improve the assignment as well? And I've gotten a lot of really, really good ideas from students by doing that. And I think like, once you get going, that's really the key to all future success is like, you take whatever your thoughts are on the material, even if you start with the worst syllabus and somebody says, you have to do it just like this. Okay, fine. But then evaluate as you're going. And like, then you have that data, like your own experience, the student experience throughout the semester. And then when they're looking back from the midpoint to the end, because we all know sometimes students are like, I don't like this because they don't see the point of it maybe. But at the end of the semester, they're like, aha, see why you did that. It makes sense to me now, and I do like it. But I still have this great idea for this potential change that you could do.
I love all of those things that you've said, and I've written a lot of them down. And what makes me just personally feel better is that a lot of the things that I put in those first episodes are things that you mentioned. So I'm glad it just makes me feel better that it wasn't me just experiencing these things.
Oh my gosh.
And I appreciate that.
Isn't that the best?
Because you feel like you're alone.
Yes, you do feel like you're alone. I always love to like compare notes. That's something that's really awesome about the current department that I am in at the University of Michigan. we have this cohort of people, and we do this monthly like check-in, and part of it is just like, hey, did anybody do anything really cool or try some new software, or did anything go really well in your class, or did anything go really poorly in your class that we could all learn from? And it's really cool. Like, I have found the best stuff that way. And considered doing stuff from other like perspectives and stuff. And I've made little changes here and there. Some of them have been good for me. Some of them I'm like, well, that clearly worked better for them than it did for me. But it's so nice to find like a little group of people. I don't even think it would need to be in your department. Like if you're at too small of a department, or there's nobody that you feel like you could talk to in your department, if you could find anybody that has just come in to the university at the same time as you, somebody that you can just talk about general teaching with, I think that would help too. And that, again, it just goes to help empower you to feel the confidence, because I think that's what you really need to have a good class, right? You have to be confident in your ability to have the good class so that the students see that confidence and then they feel confident about the class, and hopefully that elevates the whole thing.
That's a wrap on planning for future changes. My very great thanks to Angele for her time and wisdom. My very great apologies to David Bowie fans everywhere. There are some examples of my next semester notes and the notations I leave on future assignments in the Teaching Tools section under episode 15 on our website, adjunctitis.com. If you have questions or issues you'd like me to address, please send them to questions@adjunctitis.com. Join our conversation on social. Right now, we're at Adjunctitis on Threads, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. We are also on Facebook at facebook.com/adjunctitis. If you enjoyed our podcast, please consider leaving a review and a rating. Those can help other people find us too. Please spread the word and help those who ask you for help. It's good teaching karma. Adjunctitis is a Look at It This Way production. I'm April Brown. Thank you for listening. Class dismissed.